Hello there, and welcome to the CP7 Podcast. My name's Parm.
And I'm Andy.
And together, we are Chrono Passion 7. Hello, and welcome to your favourite watch-related podcast. We're on episode 35, and today we've got a bit of a general chit-chat. Just a talk about what we're doing and what we've been up to. But before we do that, we'll do a quick wristwatch check. Andy, what have you got on your wrist then?
I am wearing a new acquisition. So I'm wearing the Krayon Geneva. It's a 25 precision power date, or better known as a Krayon skin diver. From around the 60s era, it's tritium. So it's a little bit radioactive, but not too radioactive. Some of you maybe remember I had the Nivada, which was very cool, the vintage from Nivada on the ladder bracelet, the Borgel case. And I liked it a lot, but that was radium. And you're probably aware that I also picked up a 1930s Rolex Oyster, which was also radium. And as you get into these quirky vintage watches with a radioactive substance inside, you suddenly get into the habit of going on Google and freaking yourself out with forums, to the point that I decided to reduce my radium exposure within my wristwatches down to only one. So I actually did a change for the Nivada into the Krayon. So it's still a little radioactive with tritium, but far less so than what radium produces. So that's what's on my wrist. I really like it. It's got a beautiful black glossy dial. It's on a really nice quality tropical rubber strap. And it's just got a great look. It's got all the dings and scratches in all the right places for me. So that is what I am rocking. And it's quite interesting because maybe the reason I liked this piece so much leads to the piece what I believe Parm is wearing today. So what's on the wrist?
What I have on the wrist today isn't going to turn me into Radiation Man like those watches you've been talking about. But I have got the Yema Super Slim Skin Diver. It's a watch that Andy had a couple of shows ago. It's in for review, and I've got to say, it looks very similar to that Krayon, apart from the scale bracelet. It arrived today. I'm very impressed. Very impressed with the quality, the bezel clicks, the vintage looks. 38 millimeters, you know, this is it. The Chrono Passion 7 sweet spot. 38, 39. Bang on. And I remember initially saying I thought the crown was a little too big, but when you wear it, it actually makes sense because it's so slim. You need a nice sized crown, and I think it just looks incredible. Great watch. Looking forward to wearing it more. I haven't fully connected with it because it only arrived today, but that is what I've got on my wrist.
It's a great choice. It's a funny one. It's gone full circle, right? We did the essential summer holiday watches, and I fell for that watch. So prior to Parm receiving it, I had it for a little bit. Then it's gone Barcelona to London and hassle-free, which was great. So we've both had a bit of an experience. But one of the first things I realized when I unboxed that watch was I was like, wow, it's quite a premium experience. And like, what was your initial impression of the presentation? I hope I packed it well, but forget my shipping packing. But how did you find the presentation of a watch? Like, compared to some more premium watches, I think it was quite impressive in the quality of like the packaging and everything else. But what did you think?
I think the packaging was very Tudor-esque, which is a big compliment, I'd say. High quality, high-end packaging comparison, I'd say. I like the way you could it's got the pull tags to lift the bottom out so you can store the service card and the guaranteed papers, as we call them, even though it's a card. And I like the way the pull tags are in the colours of the French national flag. Of course, Yema is French.
And it's a wooden box, right, as well?
I haven't seen it enough to know. I'll check it out and I'll let you know in the next show. But yeah, it's black. That's all I know. So that's the packaging. It came in a very premium packaging, I would say, definitely.
Yeah, so that's a good way to put it. It did come in, unless they've changed the packaging on the way, it's like a nice wooden, like a dark wooden box, which is a really nice premium feel, I thought. something what you don't get with some higher end manufacturers. So it's a nice detail, but putting all the details where it matters, I think, in the overall presentation of the watch, the quality of it, and very impressed. It lived up to my expectations. And they say don't meet your heroes sometime, but this time it certainly played out. So I was drooling over that watch, wanted a hands on, and I was blown away by it. We'll do more of a dedicated show anyway around it, but let's see how Parm finds the honeymoon period with it. But I really enjoyed it. Moving on to what we've been up to. Where have you been, Parm? You've been away once again?
Yeah, I'm just back from a short trip to New York City. Absolutely loved it. I'm wearing my 80s Puma tracksuit and my New York Yankees baseball cap because I'm still in New York mode. I wore my Explorer 2 out there, and I got to say, it was the perfect watch for New York. It wasn't too hot. It normally is so hot and sticky in August, but there was a hurricane in Florida which sent a bit of a cooler front up to us. Really enjoyed it. Back to the UK, it was raining. Actually, I missed the heat wave that we had in London, which was brilliant timing, of course. And yeah, back to the UK. Went to my first watch meet yesterday for a few months, actually. So I went to Time for a Pint, run by a gentleman named Chris, a very cool guy, a very cool group of people who turned up. Really nice guys, so easy to talk to, such good watch people. I mean, I was surrounded by vintage watches predominantly. I'm a modern watch guy, but I still appreciate everything. There were a few modern watches as well, just to make me feel at home. But it's just the people that you speak to and the commitment they have to watches and the love they have for them. One guy I'd like to give a massive shout out to is Dominic, who on Instagram is UnpureDCL. He was one of the first people I actually met as I walked into the event, and he listens to the podcast. So shout out to you, Dominic. And he also knew Andy as well, of course, the main man. So it was great to meet you and great to meet everyone there. And I also met Mike Stockton from Fratello, who goes there quite regularly, actually. He does the Fratello Talks podcast, and he's mentioned Time for a Pint so many times, and I've been tempted to go. I got an email alert saying there was an event coming up, and I thought, you know what, this time I'm going to check it out. And I'm just so glad I did. It was a great event. So that's what I've been up to. Andy, what about you?
Sounds awesome. I definitely want to get to one of those Time for a Pint events. It sounds right up my street with all the vintage collectors there.
And they've got a brilliant strap line, actually. It's a drink club with a watch problem, which I think is brilliant. Probably what it is as well.
It sounds fantastic. It's nice to find a good community as well, right? Like-minded enthusiasts, and just what I love about any kind of meet is when you just discover new information about watches. Similar to your event recently, last week I did a RedBar event here in Barcelona. Like, there's a lot of vintage guy. Like, you've met half of the guys as well. Like, there's so many vintage collectors in the group and in the core group as well. Like the guys who will go to every single meet. And I'm just blown away every single time. I didn't know Movado and Borgel cases before. Hopefully, I'm not butchering the name too much, but you know me and my French, I think I get away with it at this stage. And then other great pieces such as Longines with the 3-notch case backs, and just how you learn sometimes as well not to judge a watch by its picture, because in an image, looking at some of these Longines, you're like, that's looks a bit beat up and boring, and then as soon as you see it in person in the metal, there's such a thick, chunky watch, so well made. Quite large size, like 35 millimeter. This particular example, what my friend had, and on a beautiful steel bracelet, and it looked so nice. And then it just sent me down another spiral of researching these watches. I say 3-notch to save myself from saying French very badly, by the way. If you look that up, though, it will come up. It's just basically it's 3 slits in the back of the case back, and it was a very important period of time for Longines, and these were military watches originally as well. I won't exercise any more knowledge beyond that because I'm still researching. I'm no expert on these watches, but I was fascinated by them and to discover these particular Longines and just so many great watches. Of course, I was in a great position as well to show Vienna. I had it at that stage, and it was an absolute hit. I'm not here to blow the trumpet for Yema all day, but it was genuinely, it made a big impact on the event. People were really impressed by it. Equally, the Italia When was there, Perception, and that was a huge hit amongst collectors as well. And the common theme with both the Yema and the Italia When was how much are these, like, what's the price? And every time I said the price, everybody was just like, that's really good. So whether it was a Yema or the Atelier When, so it shows these smaller independent brands, let's say, are really starting to make an impact on collectors. And we've mentioned this before, like, is always going to be a space for major brands, of course, but these smaller brands are equally important because they're the brands of the future. They could be the next big thing in 50, 60, 70 years to come. And it's nice to see these brands, what are less known, starting to get the respect they deserve and a bit more attention. So it's definitely a shift in people's perception of these brands. And I could certainly see that at least within the community here in RedBar. They were really well received, but always good fun. I was really good, actually. I didn't stay out longer drinking. I actually skipped the meal at the end of the event. I was actually good for once. It's too tempting, otherwise you drink, and then I'll end up coming home with watches, what I didn't leave with. So I always end up coming home with new watches if I do that. But great fun. So that's what I've been up to. And I think that leads, correct me if I'm wrong, Parm, but what's the show about today? It's about Geneva Watch Days. We're going again. So this is our second time going to Geneva Watch Days, and it signifies milestone within the Chrono Passion 7 podcast. Not quite yet, right? We're a month away from that.
Yeah, September, end of September.
Exactly. So
1 year old.
It's almost there, but the whole idea of what we're doing today really sparked when we were there last year, right? It's where the juices started flowing and where everything really kicked off for us.
Yeah.
So
But the juices started flowing. That sounds
creative
strange.
juices, should I say?
The podcasting juices, even though we didn't know we were doing a
podcasting
podcast
juices.
then. Yeah.
We didn't know that. How crazy is that?
So I'll share this story with the listeners. This jogged my memory yesterday, reflecting back to episode 31, where we did a show on summer holiday watches. One of the picks I had was the Edward Christopher Manta. I actually met up with Sean Bicknell from them yesterday, and he gave me one of the Mantas to review in forest green. We were just having a chit chat about how we got involved in what we did. The story came up about podcasting, and he's kindly given me a watch to review, and I offered to take it to Geneva Watch Days and wear it and just show it off a little bit, because it's nice to wear a review watch while you're out there, and it's a beautiful looking watch as well, so everyone's a winner. And he asked, how did you get involved? And I said, well, you know what, we went to Geneva Watch Day. We had a YouTube thing in the past, way in the past, and I said we were going to do something different, and we weren't sure what we were going to do. And this is what jogged my memory. This is why I'm boring everyone with this story. Is we came back with material for a podcast, but not actually knowing what on earth we were going to do. We had interviews with Benjamin, we had interviews with Bulgari, we had a few interviews, and a few, unfortunately, which didn't quite make the cutting room floor. It was just an incredible feeling just to go back and think, we started off with that. I mean, that was mind-blowing. That was actually, people, I think, work to years to to get that level of guest.
Bonkers, right? The Benjamin interview was it's all about knowing the right people and respecting the right people, and doing things off your own initiative is very important within this industry to make the right impressions. And once you do that, you maybe get a bit of guidance, let's say, and we certainly got some good guidance, hence why we were so lucky with our start, let's say. I think that's a good way to put it. So we're very grateful that we managed to get the opportunity with Benjamin. Excitingly enough, we should hopefully have a second interview with Benjamin. It won't be at the event, but there's things happening in the background to have a proper show with him. So let's wait and see. But that'd be great to really pick his brains. They're always doing a lot of creative things over at Jacob & Co. Excited also, and I'm sure Parm as well, it's one of the favorite brands to go visit when we're over in Geneva, and they've always got some crazy
if not
novelties
the
to
favorite,
show.
possibly.
Yeah, it'd be great. You know what? The most disappointing thing was they invited us to a very nice gathering, but unfortunately, it's on the 28th, and we chose to fly out on the 29th. So, very grateful. If any of the guys from the boutique are listening, then we're grateful for the invitation. But unfortunately, it just didn't quite fall into place in this occasion. But quite humbled to have had that invite. But yeah, it's crazy to think that's where we started, and sitting in that room with Fabricio was quite the experience as well.
Yeah,
And
from
the
Bulgaria. Yeah.
feeling, from Bulgaria, and the feeling of feeling a bit out of our depth, I think that would be fair to say.
Yeah, very accurate.
And I just remember it was the final day. We just finished the interview with Benjamin, and it went really well. And we just kind of high fived each other after, like that were amazing. We're in the airport going home, and we're like, but what are we doing? Like, what are we?
Yeah,
Are we a
what are we gonna
podcast? Are we a
do? Yeah.
YouTube channel? What we? And then here we are today on episode 35. So everything works out, but it's nice to go full circle, and I'm excited to go there now as a more seasoned journalist. I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near the level of all the other journalists who've been there a very long time, so please don't take it like that. But we've had a little bit of exposure now, so we know a bit more what to expect when we go to these events, right? Hopefully, this time we don't feel as out of our depths as for the very first trip we did, right?
No, the first trip we got to Beau Rivage, we walked in, we almost like tiptoeing around, like we had a complete imposter syndrome, and walking around. And we asked these two guys, nice, very very friendly guys, and we said, are you supposed to sign in somewhere, or how do you? No, just walk around, feel free, enjoy yourself, which was quite reassuring and kind of took a few of the nerves away. Yeah, it was a very, I'd say we walked in like caught in the headlights a little bit.
First day at school.
Yeah.
Watch journalism school.
It's kind of like looking at each other. That
was our education. Yeah.
That was the first day. Yeah, the first day of the rest of our lives in our watch journey. Yeah,
yeah, it's the right way of putting it. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going a little tiny bit seasoned, not fully yet, far away from that, but a little more.
And we won't be in France either this time, so we're staying in Geneva.
For once. So there's no Ubers or going to Germany or
going the wrong way to the mountains, in the train.
Well, so don't hold your breath though. It could, us, anything can happen. Just
end up walking to Germany.
Yeah. Who knows? But getting into the schedule and what we're going to be up to, like, I think it's just fun to highlight some of the great brands who we're going to see and some of our favorites. So we've already mentioned Jacob & Co. That's like a staple, as we mentioned. But Parm, who are you most excited to see this year, or who's one of your favorite brands who you want to go and see?
Jacob is always a highlight, definitely. Now it is, anyway. So we've seen them a couple of times. Yeah, and unfortunately we can't make the soiree the day before, which they kindly invited us to. Moser, again, another staple, right? They're just such a great brand. They treat you with so much humility. We were talking about imposter syndrome on, being there at the beginning, and brands like Moser, they take all of that away because they just make you feel so at home. Such a great brand. I would say they're one I would definitely want to see again. But in terms of brands I've not seen, I'm looking forward to seeing Krayon. It's a high-end brand which makes watches with classic looks, but with a real modern twist in terms of colors and designs and patterns. And I think they would be definitely high on my list of ones to see. And Deponcel, they do chronographs, sports watches. Now that we've actually done some proper preparation and we know more about brands, we got to do a lot more research. And those two would be the ones I'm most curious about. And I'd really like to just sit down and see their watches and talk about them and get some photos and then share them with you guys in our Geneva Watch Days review show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to discover new brands as well. And that's what I love so much about what we're doing. It's great to know the staple brands who are there, but every year new brands are being relaunched and new brands are coming onto the market, or we're just finally discovering a brand who we didn't know so much about in the past. And that's what I find so exciting. It's just digging into it when you sat in the room. And the nice thing about Geneva Watch Days, it's more of it feels a bit more casual versus Watches and Wonders. Watches and Wonders is extremely, in my opinion, very, very professional. And I'm not saying Geneva Watch Days isn't, but it's a bit more laid back. It's a bit like sitting with good friends, which is great. And then when you're meeting a new brand, they're very welcoming and they just really want to explain the brand story. And you get the exposure to the watches, get a feel for them, and really start to understand what they're all about. When I mentioned Rebirth, though, I did do that on purpose to lead myself into. Again, I'm terrible with names, but Frav Labua, and Parm, correct me if I butchered that pronunciation, which I most likely did. But they're a classic brand. Me being a vintage guy, I know the brand very well, even if I can't pronounce the brand so well. They've been around my circuit, my vintage community for some time, and I know the brand.
I think Andy means Favre Lube.
Okay, it sounds almost the same.
I think that's what he means, unless he meant Favre Larorbo.
Favre Labuba, yeah. Anyway, we get that. One way or another, you know what I mean. They can tell us when we're there. We'll get that pronunciation sorted out.
Yep.
But what I can say is that I've known the brand for a little while. I've been on the circuit with, as I say, the vintage guys who I know. So I've had some exposure to the vintage models, and I've always really respected what they have been doing with their designs, doctors' watches, chronographs. Just talking prior to this show, Palm, you were looking at some Genta-esque designs from them as well, right?
Yeah, Andy was telling me about the old vintage Favre Lubers.
Makes me feel good if you say it wrong.
Yeah,
so,
I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Favre Luber. Yeah, I was looking at a couple and I thought on eBay and I thought, my God, these are so well. I mean, for £200, you're getting a Genta-esque watch with studs imprinted in the bezel with that proper Genta look, almost quite ingenieur looking. I wouldn't go so far as to say Royal Oak, etc., but very ingenieur looking. And if you listen to the show, you know I'm a huge fan of that watch. Yeah. So yeah, like I say, Andy's schooling me after my trip to Time for a Pint yesterday. He's schooling me on vintage watches.
I wouldn't go that far. I've got an awful lot to learn. Very exciting to see the launch. There seems to be a lot of excitement around it. I've had listeners of our show, so shout out Mark Bowman, who maybe knows how to pronounce the name better than us as well, who's very excited about this launch. He's like, "Oh, do you know they're coming out again?" I'm like, "Yeah. We've actually got an appointment with them. We'll give you the scoop, of course." But from the teasers I've been seeing on the socials, the quality and the detailing, like they're just teasing with the micro or rotors and just showing you tiny little elements of a watch and chronograph dials and sub dials at the moment. You don't see the full watch, you just get a little taste. And they're doing it very well, and it's quite exciting. I've got a feeling it's going to be something quite of quality, like a premium feeling watch. I'm hoping it's going to be at a nice, accessible price point as well. So not cheap, but hopefully sitting between that 2 and 4K kind of category. What a lot of these other brands similar, like if we're reflecting back on Yema, sit within, or Attila and Wen, slightly different. But these kind of price points are offering a lot of quality and value for money. So I'm interested to see where they sit, and we're going to learn all about that. But that's one brand I am extremely excited to see and rediscover what they've done with the relaunch. And then, of course, like we mentioned, Moser and Chapek, that's like going to sit with friends, right? They're fantastic brands. But there's one brand who I really wanted to sit with last year, and just the scheduling got a little out of sync, and that's MB&F. And I can't wait to just get hands on with some incredible time machines from them. Hopefully they have the Bulldog, and hopefully they have the Night Owl for Parm. That'd be great, right?
I like that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
bulldog. Let the dogs out as well. Not the bulldog.
So it'd be fun, right? The fascinating watches, and just to get a bit of wrist time and really understand what's going on inside them from the experts. It'd be an incredible experience, I think. So I'm glad that we finally getting that appointment. And yeah, who else, Pam?
Oh, Nivada Grenchen. Nivada Grenchen has been reborn, and I am seriously looking forward to having hands on with the F77 because they've done it in a few. They've done Aventurine, they've done Meteorite at a very competitive price point again. But just I like what they're doing. Again, an old brand, an old vintage, classic vintage brand, reborn. And I believe the new CEO's name is Guillaume. He's reinvented it. He's put the name out there. He's marketed it very well. Again, I can't wait to get hands on, and I can't wait to share that with everyone as well. I'm sure you're going to love the chronographs they have and the very sporty watches. Again, I'm with the Deponcel and Nivada Grenchen. Yeah, I'm going full sports, but yeah, looking forward to those.
Nivada Grenchen's been a long time coming. I think
Yeah.
like we've seen them again, and I'm glad we're seeing them this time at the event, and we've got the appointment with them. I think they're doing some great stuff, and the stone dials, yeah, it's so refreshing to see that integrated sports style, right? Yeah,
It
they're
is.
doing
Yeah.
things a little bit different and at a great price point as well.
And a quick shout out to friend of the show, Alon Ben Joseph from Ace Jewelers in Amsterdam, who is actually doing a collaboration watch with Nivada Grenchen. And we can't wait to get hands on with that one as well. We'll probably meet Alon out there. We've already spoken, and it'll be great to see him and get hands on with his version of the F77 as well. So yeah, definitely Nivada Grenchen, one to watch and one that we're looking forward to seeing. Andy, anything else that you just can't wait to get your hands on?
Yeah, definitely. Arminstorm is a brand who I've known about for quite some time, and I've admired from afar for some time as well. Like the innovation, the movement design, the dials, the layout, the horology, the watchmaking, what go into their pieces. From what I have seen from researching the brand, I'm like, wow, they're great. And for the innovation, for the technology, what they bring to the table, the price point seems very, very fair as well. Now, not everything is about price point, of course not, but I would say they are one of the great value brands who we will be going to see. And I'm just looking forward to getting a hands-on finally with that brand. I think they're quite quite an important independent brand to go and see, and they're becoming quite a staple name within the independents. So I'm really looking forward to finally understanding a bit more what they are truly about and really getting the essence of their watches. And very excited for that.
Yep. Armstrong, a very strong independent brand, very popular now, very sought after, very high profile. And another brand that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I'm going completely away from the sports watches, is Daniel Roth. So I'm going into more dressy sports, kind of high complications. So we're going to see them. And I love the shape of Daniel Roth watches. They're so specific to the brand with that shield-esque case shape. It's a brand I've been looking at. So if I was going to get a dress watch, I'd think people say, "Oh, get a Patek Philippe or Calatrava," or again beautiful watches. But sometimes you think, Daniel Roth would just do me right. Get a nice gold one, no complications, time only, just a stunning, stunning watch. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to offer as well. So yeah, I'm going a bit dressy there. Andy, are you going sporty, or you going to surprise us with a sporty one, or you're sticking with dress watches?
Absolutely, Daniel Roth as well for me. I'm excited to see keeping it on that dressier side. However, another brand maybe going a bit more sporty is Ressence. And Fred is a great guy. He's looked after us quite a few times now when we've been to go see Ressence. And it's always an education. Like, his knowledge is fantastic, and he really goes into the depth of the engineering behind the watches as well. So, really looking forward to see what they're bringing to the table, what new novelties will be there, and just looking forward to that conversation. It's always fascinating. So, with that said, a big shout out to Fred again from Ressence, as he really is a great guy. He looks after us very well, and looking forward to catching up with him.
I want to shout out the croissant challenge that we have to set ourselves.
Yeah, this is a good one.
We got there early, we were hungry. All right, okay, forget breakfast. We're going to go straight in, and we were starving. And every brand we went to see had trays full of croissants everywhere. And we weren't sure who they offered them to because it wasn't to us. And we went from meeting to meeting, just going past these freshly baked croissants, and you could smell them as you walked past. And it was just like, maybe this year we'll ask, say, excuse me, because we offered plenty of coffee. It was all very hospitable. We were very well treated and looked after, and we could have as much coffee as we wanted. But we're just wondering if we're gonna, have we made the croissant list? Are we quite there yet?
It's a good challenge. I think we said something along the lines of, this time we're just going to go and take a croissant. Apologize after, just take a bite out of it. Then what we're going to say?
Is that the Joey and Friends with the crumbs all around your mouth? I'm not even sorry.
Yeah. But surely, I don't know. It was really funny, and that was our first time. Now we know the brands as well, so definitely with the brands who we know more personally. If the croissants are there, I'm shouting them out on the croissants without any hesitation.
Because I normally like to get gloves. I like the gloves. I collect gloves from each brand. I'm going to collect croissants this year from each brand. Gloves, I'll take them too if they're on offer.
Yeah, I'd probably say the gloves are easier than the croissant or loops.
Yeah.
Probably easier to get than the croissant.
Yeah, definitely.
At least that's how it felt. Probably it was just self-explanatory. You just go and help yourself to one if you want it.
Yeah, but we were imposters. We felt like, oh my God, I can't touch anything. Oh my God.
Yeah. But yeah, you do get loaded. You get so loaded up on caffeine. You've got to be a little careful because there's a point where you're just really dehydrated from all the coffee. And you do need a water to, and hot. Yeah, you need to
hyperactive. Yeah.
Yeah. It's adrenaline. You've really got to keep pushing through it. Yeah.
So you're on adrenaline and caffeine. Lots of caffeine. I know croissants. The challenge is on. Are we up to it? Only time will tell. So I think that's everyone.
We just wanted to give you, our listeners, a flavour of what to expect when we're back, of when we get really deep into the brands who we saw, the pieces we saw, and just hopefully give you a glimpse into what our agenda is looking like. It's very crazy. It's a lot more brands, but we don't just want to sit here and read everyone. Let's do alphabetical
spreadsheet.
order.
Yeah, well, actually, look, A for Armstrong, B for Beyonce. We could do that. Yeah. De Bethune is D. Actually, that's one. Okay, on a serious note, yeah. We went there last time, and it was quite funny because they just walked in. We're like, excuse me, can we look at your? Of course, sure. Come in, sit down, relax. Take as many pictures as you want. You had Waco sitting in the corner of the room. It was just like, where am I? And then I remember we were doing pocket shots. I was taking a pocket shot for Andy, and Waco's looking over, thinking, who are these guys? I've never seen them before. But he looked over, smiled, and nodded, and then kind of went back to he had a meeting. He was on his round table with meetings of people. It was just such a surreal experience, and a good one. Yeah, great experience.
Hopefully we're a little bit more known now, and I'm sure we'll feel more at home. It definitely feels more at home when I'm in Geneva these days and at these kind of events. So thank you, first of all, to every single listener of the show, because the reason we're here, the reason why we have respect with brands, is because you give us the time and listen to our mad ramblings. So thank you so much. You give us the fuel to do what we do every single day. So we're extremely grateful for your support. To plug the website, but please always, for the best audio visual experience, to see the wristwatch checks and the amazing Yema skin diver and all the other great pieces we've discussed today, then visit www.chronopassion7.com and we'll get all the great show notes on there for the best possible audiovisual experience. But is that time for the classic sign-off?
It is. I think you've done it.
Yeah, I just need to say hasta luego, I think.
From Barcelona is hasta luego. Actually, no, that's your go. That's your thing.
Yeah, come on, let me speak the little bit of foreign language what I can speak. That's hasta luego and adios. Until next time, it's been a pleasure and speak to you all. You will hear me and Parm very, very soon.
One more shout out I have for Neil from the Watch Brothers at Real Watch Brothers on Instagram. Top guy. Met him at Time for a Pint as well, and he had a great, really cool Ploprof. First time I've seen an 80s Ploprof in the flesh, in the metal. So, yes, it is time to go. Thank you so much for listening. You are our caffeine. You are our cup of coffee when you listen to our show and you give us feedback on what you like the most about it. It is a different kind of show today. It's just a catch up. It's a watch chat. We know you like the watch chat, so we thought, yeah, let's just two guys shooting the breeze, talking watches. So from London, it is Toodle Pip and laters, and we'll see you and you'll hear us in the next one.